If you are thinking about moving to South Florida, you need to watch this. My name is Ray Fernandez. I'm with Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Luxury. Welcome. 18 years ago, my family and I relocated to this beautiful part of the world we call sunny South Florida, and we haven't looked back. Today, we help people perhaps like you do the exact same thing. I say that every single week. Just to give a little bit of background, my family and I lived in the New York City area. We knew we wanted to move to somewhere in Florida. We had no idea where. We literally did an investigative trip all across the state. We narrowed it down to a few places. We looked in the Tampa area. We looked in the Orlando area. We looked at Vero Beach. We looked pretty much everywhere, the west coast of Florida. And we decided on eventually South Florida. We decided eventually on Palm Beach. We originally started looking at Boca Raton. That was our first thought. We were pretty certain we were going to move there, but things changed, and we'll tell you a little bit about that as we go forward. But I want to outline here everything that there is in Florida, and specifically what it's like if you choose to live here in South Florida. I know that when I was thinking about moving to Florida, I would have loved to watch a video like this outlining some of the different areas. I'm going to use a map. The feedback we've been getting has been strong about using the map, and I'm going to look at some of the places people are moving to that are considering moving here to Florida. So here is a map of Florida. Literally, it's a big state. Literally, to drive from here, the way western part of Florida, all the way down to here to, let's say, South Florida, Miami area, it's a 9-hour ride. I've done it. It's a long ride. So there's a lot of things in between. This part of Florida, northern part of Florida, is very different than South Florida. But lots of times when people think of Florida, they think of this area, basically the three counties of Miami-Dade, Broward County, which is where Fort Lauderdale is, and the Palm Beaches, where West Palm Beach is. And we're gonna explore and dig down and drill into what it's like living in this area right here, here in South Florida. This is an important video, and I'll tell you why. You do not want to move to the wrong place. I hear stories that people that move here afterwards, not using us, that'll say, "Yeah, I wish I knew this. I wish I knew that." When it comes to relocating, it's a beautiful area, but if you move to a place that's much more rural than you're thinking, or much more urban than you're thinking, not really knowing, that could be a mistake. We are here at Living in Palm Beach to help you figure out what is the right place for you and your family. So going back to my story, when we actually looked in this area, originally in the Tampa area, because my parents lived in Clearwater here, and we strongly considered a place up near here called Tarpon Springs, which if you zoomed out a little bit, there you go, Tarpon Springs. We looked over here, Vero Beach, pretty closely, found it much too rural. Orlando is nice. Orlando is one of the fastest growing places in Florida, primarily due to the Disney aspect of it all. But we eventually came down here. Today here, this year, the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of people move from the Miami metro area, meaning like the central part of Miami, and also like down here in Fort Lauderdale, move up into the Palm Beaches. And you actually see a lot of people moving up here in this area, Martin County and Port St. Lucie. And there's a ton. If you were to drive through Port St. Lucie, you would see a ton of new construction. There is some big development happening there. So if you and your family are considering moving to sunny South Florida, and you want some advice from people who've actually done it before, there's a few ways to get a hold of us. Down below is our email address. That's one great way. Also on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that number. But literally two of the best ways is in the description, and in the comments section, there's a link. Click on that link. What that'll do is have some time for us to speak, either through a phone call, through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating here to sunny South Florida. Here at Living in Palm Beach, Florida, we do relocations. We help people consider moving to here in South Florida, or really anywheres in Florida, know what it's like living in these areas. And if you are thinking about moving to anywheres in Florida, this is a channel you should subscribe and consider following. But when we moved here, we originally looked at Boca Raton. We had certain expectations, certain thoughts, certain objectives when it came to moving here. One of the things that we didn't like, and it doesn't mean it's wrong for you, but one of the things that we didn't like, and this is why I'm glad I did the exploratory visit, because I made a decision. I think that was a good one for us. Is this we found to be for us again really crowded and really expensive in terms of price per square foot and prices in general. Boca Raton. This morning I was doing some work for investigative work for people looking at and thinking about Boca. There's a community called Seven Bridges. And I look at the price per square foot. It's one of the things that we look closely at when helping people looking at existing homes. And there was a home that looked beautiful. It was like $3 million, roughly, maybe a little bit less, but just south of $3 million. The price per square foot was about $700 per square foot. You might say that's not really a lot if you live in Manhattan, but for the rest of Palm Beach, County, that is a lot. So we look at stuff like that. So we found that the price per square foot and the value we felt was better here in Wellington, which is where we are now, which is where Living Palm Beach's offices are. Also, we see a lot of business here in Palm Beach Gardens. We'll get more to some of this other stuff later. There's Westlake is another community that we see a lot of business in these days, but the biggest one right now is in Palm Beach Gardens. Specifically, there's a community called Avenir, which is a steal right now because there's two big communities going up. The models are not built yet. Look at that. Google still doesn't know how to show Palm Beach Gardens. The models aren't open. These two really nice communities, and once they open, they will explode with demand, higher demand. They're already seeing decent demand. One of them that's opened already, but demand will continue to explode once the models are open. We've seen this over and over and over again. We do a lot of new construction. We are a new home co-broker. That's the guidance. If you want to go get into Avenue, one of the hottest communities in South Florida, that's something I highly recommend. I might mention what those communities are a little bit later, but let me go down south a little bit because this is about moving to South Florida. A couple of things. Miami is really nice. So this is what you need to know if you're thinking about moving to Miami. Miami is a real international city. If you walk the streets of Miami, you will actually hear like Spanish all over the place. A lot of people from South America live there. It is, and it's expensive now. I mean, we work with some of the best condos down there with the builders from the best condos, and you can literally drop like $6 million in a drop of a bucket in a prime location. Miami has, and I'll show you on a map in a minute. Miami has a couple of different sections. Miami Beach is very sought after, and so is like near downtown because there's a lot of stuff. But it's an international city. If kids and school is important, it can be a challenge. Just like if you lived in New York City, if you lived in Manhattan, the public schools might not necessarily be where you're districted for. Zone 4 might not necessarily be strong, and you have to go to private school. Private schools are expensive. So I moved to Florida with two kids. Now I have three. One was born here. I know how important it is to people. We get one of the biggest questions we get from people relocating to this area is questions regarding kids. If you are thinking about schools, and if that's your angle, if you want some advice on that, reach out. We would love to help you in that regard. But let me zoom into Miami specifically. So Miami is a really crowded place. To drive from like Miami to let's say West Palm Beach in rush hour can really take literally about over 2 hours. It is the roads here. If you take 95, there is they have these express lanes with. On the side, it's basically saying because it's so busy, we're going to charge you a toll. If you want to use this express lane, we'll charge you $10. And people are so desperate and they'll do it. If during like in the middle of the night on a Wednesday night, it's not going to be like that. But so they have these things. There's not a great transportation system, in my opinion, in Miami. It's not like New York City where you have subway. It just is not. It's just not as efficient as that. Hopefully one day we'll figure out a way to change. There is something called the Bright Line, which is really good. Problem is the Bright Line is way too expensive. Bright Line is a high-speed train that is that goes from West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale to Miami that just in the last couple of years became a thing. It's now it goes up to Orlando to see if you want to go to Disney. But my experience, it is really expensive. And I'll give you a reason. I'll give you an example of that. I went looking at one of the builders that we work with is down here in Windward. I'm going to start right there on this area. Down here, I like this area a lot. If you're into the arts and all that kind of stuff, this is a really nice area. Area Reserve is the building I'm talking about. Brand new building. If you're interested in looking at Area Reserve, you really need to reach out to us. Don't walk into their sales office. I'll tell you more about that later. If you walk into any of these builders, sales offices on your own, you're absolutely crazy. You really want independent representation. We'll tell you a little bit more about what that's about, but reach out to our team. We can tell you in more detail. But anyways, there is a in this area, Windward, that right around here is where Area Reserve is, and it's one of the biggest, going to be the biggest high rise in that area, in all that Miami area in the near future once it's complete, and it's downtown. If it were here, which is south of Fifth, when they say south of Fifth, it's this Fifth Street down here. There you go. Fifth Street. So anything down here is very expensive. This is sort of Miami Beach, the tip of Miami Beach. By the way, this is all of Miami Beach right here. Surfside, which is where we had that condo collapse. More on that later about buying condos. But when you're looking at south of Fifth, that is going to be, it could, because this road divides it. That's you're looking at some of the most expensive real estate in all of Florida. Another building down here that we work with is called 5 Park. It's right about here. Now, here's the deal with that area here. The views are beautiful. 5 Park is a little bit more money than Area Reserve. You can spend, as I mentioned, $6 million. You can get a nice place for like under $2 million. But in general, the price tags are high. If you're looking, and stick around if you want to know about Palm Beach. Palm Beach is where I think is where the value is in South Florida. A lot of people from Miami and Fort Lauderdale are moving to Palm Beach, so stick around for that. But we have found that there's a certain kind of people that move to those areas, such as South Beach and those part of south of Fifth and Miami Beach. For the most part, moving to Miami can be, a lot of it is condo living, and there are some risks when it comes to condo living. I don't want to go into it in depth, but over there's my video I did on condo risk not too long ago. It's getting decent viewership. We did a video over there, no, over there, on the don't buy Palm Beach condos way back when. We warned people about this. What was going to happen. It's getting much more play in it now because of the risk. Condo association fees are going like this. They're some that are going up 50%. I see people getting special assessments of 20,000. There are some condos that I think are better, less of a risk than others. Reach out to our team if you want to know what they are. But in general, the newer ones are less of an issue. The older ones can be an issue. Let's go back to the map in Miami. So here we are. I'm going to move up a little bit because there's a couple of things I want to highlight here. Fontainebleau Hotel. They redid that hotel a couple years back. It's beautiful. Surfside. Where are you? Surfside. So that's where the collapse. That's where that whole that tower collapsed. It changed the landscape of condos in all of Florida, probably all of the country forever. Much more inspections, many more inspections, because that was on the verge of being inspected. So now because of this, there's much more regulation with inspections. Insurance rates went way up. So that's why condos are a little bit of a risk. I would never rule out condos, but there is a trap when it comes to condos, meaning that their maintenance fees can be high. And just because there's a low price, because it's a condo, you need to watch out. Reach out to our team. I'd love to. It's a topic I can't explain in depth here on this video. I wanted to highlight here. Where are we here? So as we move a little bit north, I want to show you a couple of places that stand out. Again, I love Wynwood. Wynwood is one of my favorite places to live in Miami because it's near downtown. It's right next to downtown. It's very artsy, and it's next to Miami Beach, which is beautiful. and very sought after. Hialeah, we've done some business in this place. Very, very local area. People who live in Hialeah never leave. They're like it's just incredible. I had a couple of listings in there where I'd sold them like this because if they come available, they just go. They tell their family, hey, listen, there's a thing open here, and there's a house here. I mean, and maybe it's the way I market. I'm really good at marketing, listings, selling homes. I know that helps. But in general, it's an easier sale here in Hialeah because people who live locally there try to get in very Spanish area. The Spanish is like almost like their first language there in Hialeah. Also up here, as you go up here, there's Aventura. We actually is one of the areas we looked at. I talked about when we looked at. We like Aventura. It was a little bit too urban for us, and it wasn't there wasn't enough space for us. If you're looking for space in general, some parts of Miami are obviously not going to be your place. Moving north, I want to look at the Fort Lauderdale area, Broward County. This whole area is Broward County. It encompasses a couple of big places. Fort Lauderdale is like the Riviera. It's like the boating area of more than any place else. There's so many canals that it's one of the highlights when it comes to living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So Fort Lauderdale, we have some we have some connections with some high rises in the Las Olas area, and it's one of the more sought after areas within Fort Lauderdale's Las Olas, LASOLAS. There's Las Olas Boulevard, which is sort of like the main trendy street through the area. There's a condo there that you can buy and I think is really good value. Fifth and Rio. The funny thing about that area is that a lot of the buildings there, if you look at the buildings, they're beautiful. A lot of them are rentals. That scares me a little bit because if I don't want to be in a rental as a homeowner. I don't want to be in a rental. It's too much of a transient of a transient environment. But that building I like a lot. It is perfect if you're like a boat and you want to have access to the ocean and whatnot. I have a better place up a little bit further north if you're thinking about that. A beautiful condo if you're a boater. Stick around if that's you. But Las Olas and Fort Lauderdale are very good. Let me turn to one of the areas that we see also a lot of business in that area, which is called Hollywood, Florida. Welcome to Hollywood, as they say in California, but this isn't California. This is Florida. Hollywood, Florida is awesome. I mean, we did there's a couple of towns nearby that are interesting. Hollywood Hills, we've done business there. I like that place. Pembroke Pines is a little bit further west in this area, a little bit north and west. Anyways, there's a place called Sienna that we recently highlighted. It's in Cooper City, and you could literally see the Hollywood Hard Rock Hotel. It's an icon. It's a big guitar. You can gamble in there. It's one of the things that just recently was done, and they have laws in there that you can actually, I think you can legally bet on sports in there. So they have a little bit of a haven if you're a gambler, and I'm not. If a little bit of a haven if it comes to that where you can do it. But it's a beautiful hotel. If you want to just spend, like if you're up north and you want to spend some time to check out the area, I highly recommend staying in the Hollywood Hotel, Hard Rock Hotel. It could be a great vacation. Get a tremendous amount of traffic in the wintertime. Okay, look, rounding out the area. A lot of people think the Miami Dolphins play in, well, they do sort of play in Miami. They play the borderline of Miami and Broward. This is where they are. It's the Hard Rock Cafe, the home of the Miami Dolphins. It makes it easy. It's a good thing that the Dolphin Stadium is down here because it makes it easy for people up north to get there. Like the Miami Marlins play in down lower part of Miami, it is hard to get to. But this is really easy to get to for all of the people who live in South Florida. And I'm gonna go. This is Pembroke Pines. It is a western community within Fort Lauderdale. Driving from here to the beach, Hollywood Beach. By the way, Hollywood Beach, the boardwalk is amazing. They've got Margaritaville there. They do concerts. It's incredible. So I need to continue to move on. This is another nice area. Miramar is a highly sought after community. And one of the reasons why these Western communities are sought after, it is Weston's another one. I'll get there in a minute. Is that you are away from all the stuff of Fort Lauderdale. Downtown Fort Lauderdale is nice, but it is very it's like what New York's downtown Manhattan used to be years ago. It's like it dies on the weekends and it dies at night, except for the homeless. So you got to be careful. There's like any place else, you need to do your homework and be careful when you're looking at these areas. So a lot of people we find move to the western parts, Southwestern Ranches. Weston is a master plan community from long ago that is actually very nice. And we looked there. I'd say 18 years ago, we looked. That was one of the places we looked at. Forgive me if you live in Weston for saying this and you love it. We found it boring. It was just community after community. There was like the highlight was the mall there. And I just didn't. It just wasn't for me. So I know I'm going to get some hate mail for that one, but leave a comment down below. Tell me how bad I am. Pembroke Pines, another area that's close. Miramar, again, sought after. Moving north. All right. I guys mention this. So if you're a traveler, being next to the Fort Lauderdale Airport is really great from the standpoint of this. There are lots of international flights. So if you're looking to go from our area to like Milan or Hong Kong or some of these or Frankfurt, Germany, that's going to be your airport if you live like in Palm Beach, as an example. Miami, of course, as well, but there's a lot of traffic down there. Both airports, Miami and Fort Lauderdale, get a ton of traffic because of the cruises. As you probably know, there's a lot of Caribbean cruise lines that leave out of these areas, especially Miami. And so you get a lot of cruise traffic to both those airports. So they're very busy. But on the other aspect of it, if you live anywhere in the area and you want to go to someplace international, they're generally speaking have lots of flights available if you're looking to go to some far away place and likely not to have a connecting flight, which is one of the things that I know when we travel, we look for when traveling to other places that are a little bit more obscure or far away. All right, moving on. Let's move to let's go north here. All right, South Florida, Pompano Beach, pretty popular. So this area right here, there's not a lot of new construction. We are a new home co-broker. Your new construction is going to be in Miami down below that we looked at, down below. And then also those are mainly condos. And then up in Palm Beach, which we're getting to now in a minute. But in terms of in here, in this Fort Lauderdale area, there's just not a lot available. There are basically two currently today that you can buy in. I mentioned Sienna in Cooper City, and there's another one in that area by Lennar. But for the most part, if you're buying in those areas, there's just there's not much new construction. The other aspect is there's no natural gas, which I think as a people who like to cook, that's a big element for people. Moving on, Boca Raton. Now we're in the southern part of Palm Beach. All right, and again, we looked at Boca Raton and decided against it. There are basically three parts of Boca Raton in my book. There's downtown Boca Raton. There's central Boca Raton, which is here, and that's where the town center mall is. Lots of very busy area. Some new construction there, which I'm going to mention in a minute. And then there's the western part of Boca Raton. All very different, all nice, but all very different. See, now when you're moving up into Boca Raton, there's a lot more new construction. There's a beautiful community coming up. It's just selling now. It's called Lotus Edge. Geo Homes is a prevalent builder here in South Florida. They don't really go below Boca so far, and they mainly from Boca up to northern Palm Beach, like in Avenir, which I mentioned briefly. But in that area, there's Lotus Edge, but prior to that, which is where they're selling out of, is Lotus Palm, and there's Lotus, the original Lotus. Those are all highly sought after new construction communities in central to western Boca. Eastern Boca, like Meisner and so forth, is extremely expensive. There's less room to build like master plan communities. So they're very targeted, smaller communities there, and they're expensive too. Downtown Boca is exquisite. It's beautiful. It's not as walkable as I would like it. It is somewhat walkable, but in any event, the beaches are there. And now we're talking, let's go a little bit north actually now to Delray Beach, Florida. So we're going north and we're back to the map. We're going north and we're going to Delray Beach, which is right here. Um, I think Delray Beach is one of the best beaches in the southern part of the county. I like it better than Boca Raton's beach. Sorry, Boca. Give me all that hate mail. Give me the thumbs down here. Do it. Listen, I tell people like it is. And one of the things that people appreciate, things that I hear, feedback I get from people, and give me a thumbs up if you think this, is that I'd say the good and the bad. I give you my pros and my cons. And let's face it, a lot of it is my opinion. It might not be yours. So everybody's different, but I can guide you in a place. You tell me what's important to you, and I can help guide you. Delray Beach is one of those places where is a lot. If you live anywhere in this area in Palm Beach, you'll probably go there. There's a place. There's the Avenue. Let me tell you a little bit about the Avenue in Delray Beach. Atlantic Avenue is the Avenue. They got all these restaurants along the Intercoastal. They have like I always think of this restaurant, Deck 84. It's right off the Intercoastal. They have a little cruise line there, Lady Del Rey. You can take a cruise on the Intercoastal. It's beautiful there. One thing to know about this area, they have drawbridges. Like boats come through there, so you can get stuck in traffic. You can be waiting there forever if you're in a rush. You should learn if you live in the area, you will learn when the drawbridge goes up. As an example, in some towns, it's on the hour and the half hour. Other towns, it's on the 15 to 45. Know what it is in your area. And it's one of the things that they do to try and make the boat traffic go through. But anyways, Western Delray is where most of the new construction is. But if you live anywhere in Palm Beach, you will find yourself going to Delray because they have a lot of nice restaurants. Traffic's a little bit challenging, especially in the high time. The best sunrises in the whole area. I love watching the sunrise there. But let me show you some of the Western communities in Delray Beach. All right, so here's the map. This is like, let me see how far I can zoom into this thing. There's that Deck 84 I was telling you about. This really isn't that big of a walk. It's as easy to walk here to here. It's the only downtown in Florida on the beach, which is sort of cool. This is, there's all this parking along North Ocean Boulevard here. This is pretty high traffic right here for beach traffic. If you go a little bit north here, it's not as much. I did a video here called over this way called I don't know how well you can see it, but it's called Pros and Cons of Living in Delray Beach. And the homes here, some of these are like $20 million. If you can get like a really nice home off the beach, it can cost that kind of money. More and more people are going this way west, as I was about to tell you. If you go along, these are all beautiful, great restaurants here. If you go along Atlantic Avenue and the Avenue and you go further west, that's where all this new construction is. And we're doing a lot of business in this area. You have, let me see, here it goes. State Road 7 is like the main road, north and south in the Western communities. Where's your marketplace? Right over here is right in this area is the marketplace. Is the marketplace where people, it's like demand. Give me a second. I'll show you. Let me explain to you what this whole Western Delray Beach is all about, because it's an important area if you're thinking about Palm Beach. It is exploded, that area. I remember when I did a video going way back over there, moving to or living in or awesome things about Western Delray Beach, it was just starting to explode. They have the going way back when the communities of the Oaks, communities of the Saturnia Isles, Saturnia and Boca, Dakota. Now the other communities are a lot of 55 plus there, 55 plus. We do a lot in 55 plus, maybe because I'm an older guy and I'm over 55. Valencia Grand, Valencia Sound, Those are two that are, there's Lyons Road that goes up and down. It's just east of Route 441. They have some great communities. Valencia Grande is one of the nicest 55 plus in the whole area. It's a little bit more expensive. It's about $1.5 million. I just did one for 1.3 recently in there. But then there are some alternatives in the eastern part of Delray 55 plus. Delray Trails is a video. I'm not sure if it hasn't come out yet as of the filming of this, but it might be out by the time you see this. There's a couple of places Eastern Delray that you can do. Reach out to our team if you want to know what they are. But there's just a ton of Boca Bridges and Seven Bridges. I mean, there are $3 million houses in there. That area is exploding, and they made this thing called off Lyons Road called Delray Marketplace just to sort of serve all the people that are moving to that area. It's one of the most sought after and getting to be more expensive. If you're thinking about that area, now is the time, because I just do not see that trend, going away in the near future. All right, moving on. I'm going to move north. I can't make this video like a million years, so I got to sort of move on. Again, we do relocations. If you have specific questions about areas, reach out to our team. We would love to help you in that regard. So if I'm going to zoom out a little bit just to get a better, there's a lot of golf in this area. This is like an older area, meaning being more established, not older people, but more established. We've done business in this area, mainly existing homes. Older golf courses. Some of the golf courses are being bought out, like Delray Trails and Sherwood, the Enclave at Sherwood Park. We did videos on both of those communities. The builders came in, bought the golf courses out, made some adjustments, but there's a lot of golf in this area. These areas were hot way back in the 80s and 90s. Aberdeen is a beautiful, big area. It is a membership community. There are some membership communities that are expensive initiation and social fees going forward. So people, generally speaking, what we find, avoid them. Reach out to our team if you want to know more about that. Let me go to the areas that we're seeing the most business. These are the most sought after areas right now here in South Florida. There are 3 master plans that we're seeing the most traffic going to. I'll save the last one as my favorite because I think it's a little bit more money than the other two, but I think there's significant value there. First two are Westlake and Arden. Arden is in Loxahatchee. If you go Southern Boulevard, and I'll show you the map later, east to west, it's the best road to go east and west. It might be showed as Route 98. No one calls it Route 98. It's Southern Boulevard. It's right near 20 Mile Bend. It's a little bit far west. So when I talk about pros and cons, the pros and cons of Arden, some people might say, or that area is a little bit further from the beach. Really, it's only about a half hour west of the beach. So if you're driving Saturday morning to go to the beach, that's all it is. It's really not a terrible ride. Arden is about 85 or 90% sold right now. I have some models for sale, decorated models that are beautiful. I sold 2. One of them still available. Might not be when you see this. Not likely to be available when you see this. But I know there is still new construction. I'd love to help you if you're interested in that area. Again, we see a lot of people work remotely, move there, or somewhere, or they live, or they work in downtown West Palm Beach because it's an easy ride to the center of Palm Beach. So that's that. Westlake is the other big one. 4,000 home master plan community. Minto bought that area out, sold part to builders like Coulter for their Crestwind 55 plus community. Anyways, there's just a lot of business there. It was at one point, Westlake at one couple years, about a year and a half ago now, I went to a meeting with the mayor, and he was saying that 1/3, 1 out of every 3 new permits in Palm Beach County were from Westlake. So the growth might have slowed slightly, but it's still seeing significant growth. It's not even halfway built yet. So we would love to help you. There are different subdivisions. One of the big differences between Westlake and Arden is Arden's one big community of 2,350 homes. Westlake is 4,000, but they're divided up in sub communities. And you've probably seen videos on our YouTube channel living in Westlake and living in Arden. I highlight like the Woodlands as an example there. Today they're selling the Pines also as another example. So anyways, let me get to the last one, which is called Avenir. Back to the map here. You see this is Westlake, as I was talking about. Beautiful, very low HOA, which a lot of people do look at it for that. Here's Arden. As you can see, I said near 20 Mile Bend. It's 20 miles from the coast. I mean, check this out. The best is, I can't believe it. It's still so primitive. I can't even see it here now. The pool, I want to show the pool area. There you go. I can see it way in here. Look at that pool area. Isn't that beautiful? That's one of the nicest pools in Palm Beach. This is Hook Line, this road here. This is like a little detour I'm just giving you. One of the most sought after roads in Arden. And I was going to tell you, we're going to go Arden, and we take a lot of people to Arden and Westlake together. Similar price points. They are a little bit above the average in Palm Beach is $620,000. You can get in there for about that price in Westlake, maybe a little bit more in Arden. By the way, if you go into these if you go into these new construction communities, you need independent representation. We can help you. There's no cost out of your pocket when it comes to looking at these communities. It's the builder who pays us, and they absolutely love us to help people perhaps like you move to these areas. Maybe a little bit more on that when we finish it here, but let me move to Avenir. We're going to go a little bit further north, and here we are in the exclusive area of Palm Beach Gardens. I briefly mentioned it before. Avenir is right here. There is a lot of development. This is still in this picture here on Google Maps is in its premature days. It's a lot more built out. This is not Wingate. You need people like me to tell us to help you. This is actually Watermark. This is Coral Isles. These guys have sold out now. Latieri is sold out. Regency is a nice 55 plus community in Avenir. Solana Bay, we haven't done as much in there yet. It's Kel's the builder. The big one here is this one. We are going crazy with this community here. This is my favorite community in Palm Beach. This is Avenir is one of my favorite areas. I think there's great value, and I'll tell you why. Panther National is a very private golf community with about 200 homes roughly. Homes go for about $5 to $15 million. So if you buy into like Avondale as an example, your next door neighbors are ridiculous, are $20 million homes. That's crazy in my opinion. More on that in a second. We look at every community in Avenir. Independent representation, as I mentioned, we help people relocate to this area. We do a lot of new construction. It's our business. If you walk into that place without it, you're crazy. We have to be there on your first visit in most builders' cases. If you are, it's the day after, I might be able to finagle it with at least one builder, but most of them I can't. So if you want our help, and we could be there, it doesn't cost you anything. There's nothing out of your pocket. It's the builder that pays us. They have a separate marketing budget that they use to help pay people like us. They're happy to do it. You can ask them. The reason they do it is they want a company like ours to help introduce people perhaps like you to their beautiful community. Avenir is it started in the original days with Watermark and Coral Isles, and it's now spread into Latieri, which is now sold out already. That's how quick they did it. Watermark and Wingate are both sold out. Avondale is getting there now. We were there at the beginning with Avondale, and we've had a lot of contracts in there. It's maybe considered the entry level in Avenir. You're going to sort of need like maybe today the upper sevens, really 800,000s to get in there. If you go into some of the other like Apex, you're going to need probably about $1 million. It goes up to about $2 million. But in my opinion, there's good value there. It's when they open up, let me show you the map, what they're doing here and some of the aspects of the community. I don't want to make this an Avenir video, so I'm going to be really quick here. One of the aspects I want to point out to you is this is Coconut Boulevard. Well, which one is it? There's Avenir Drive and there's Coconut Boulevard. If you currently go to here, there's Avenir Drive. You can look at these Gothic entrance. It looks beautiful. They're doing the same thing right down the street here. Like you can't see it here, but this is Coconut Boulevard. It doesn't go through yet. It's going to go up north to it's going to go up north into Beeline Highway, which goes into PJ Boulevard, which is going to make it a lot easier to get into downtown Palm Beach Gardens. This is 5,000 acres, 2,500 acres built on. Reach out to our team. I think this is one of the best areas. So let me move on and give you an overview of everything in South Florida and get back on track in that regard. As I mentioned earlier, if you move to the wrong place, anywheres in South Florida, it can be a mistake. I had somebody a couple months ago, I remember running into, noticed me from my videos in downtown West Palm Beach, which is beautiful there, by the way. Everyone that lives in the Palm Beach area goes to downtown West Palm Beach, a place called the Square, City Place, Rosemary Square. It's changed its names a bajillion times. And the guy said to me, I moved to Avenir and I'm sorry I did because it's a little bit too quiet for me. Now that's him. And that will not necessarily me, not necessarily you, but for him it was. And reason being is he's more of he said, I was used to the lifestyle in Boca Raton. Boca Raton is much more busy. It's also more money. You know, as I mentioned there, the prices are a little bit, I mentioned most of my videos, the prices in the southern part of the county are more money. But anyways, he made a mistake. Now, we didn't help this. This is a guy I ran into after he had moved there, and he did see my videos. And listen, I get calls every week about people saying to me, Ray, I wish I saw your videos before I moved. Don't make that mistake. We would love to help you. And living in Palm Beach, Florida, we help people relocate this beautiful part of the world we call Palm Beach and sunny South Florida. Miami Beach, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, paradise here in South Florida.